Hey, how's it going, everyone? Just back again with another video where I want to talk about hell. And so I was partially motivated to do this by an interaction I had with one of Russianvids' mods on his live stream last night. And so Russianvids was talking about hell, and then how it's like, I think it was topic of like the hollow earth or something like that. And then he said something about how, it could be below the earth. And then in the mod, one of the mods that, started this chatter, and then she's like, hell is beneath the earth or something like that. And so I just could not resist. Like, I have to tell people, what I know. And so started going back and forth with her that what the Bible actually teaches, and then we'll go through those here. And I'll put the link to the video that I've done prior where I've read all these verses and then explain that this physical earth is hell according to the Bible. And so all 54 references support that. And then, so I'm going to add on top of that a little bit more commentary, but then also go into the numerology of why these verses are in that position in the Bible very, very carefully. So the Bible is not just put together by a bunch of Freemasons or stuff like that, because the structure of it being so precise only benefits the God of the Bible, and then us who read it and then appreciate it. And so it's not done by evil people or anything like that. That's ridiculous. And so that will add, a little bit more fuel to the fire, pardon the pun, about this truth, that's being gatekept heavily, even by the quote unquote truth community. And so that's not a shot to Russianvids, but he doesn't have control over what people talk about in the chat. And this was not me interacting with him one-on-one. I don't know if he could be persuaded, if he saw this video or the other one that I've done. But she was talking about, hell being beneath the earth. And I told her, like, hell is a physical realm, and then it's the things that are going on here on earth. And then she's like going back and forth, and I'm like, well, and she's basically saying like, no, like spirits have like arms and legs and teeth and all this kind of stuff. And, they can experience pain and all that. So, she's defending it staunchly, and I just told her as a warning to her, don't go and teach that. If you want to believe that or whatever, that's up to you. But if you go and teach that, then you're adding to the deception, and that kind of thing. And so women shouldn't be teaching anyway, certainly not in these days. But, just know that, and so that was a friendly warning to her. And I want people to know, and this is a thing for me too. Anything in the Bible that's true that we don't believe, God has to show it to us, and so my channel is for like a few people who take God at his word, and take it literally when it's appropriate. And all these verses together, it's every single one in isolation, literally prove that hell is a physical place, and then all of them together is case closed, and so it's the same with the flat stationary earth, and the same with reincarnation and all these topics. And so it's case closed. So the luxury I have personally is that these things that I'm quote unquote defending are obvious. And then sometimes I'll go and, test it with certain people, but I already know that the crew, it's not, again, a shot to Russianvids as an individual, but that crew is not Bible people. They're not, and so that's not his job, his quote unquote role. So I did unsub. There's no reason for me really to like go and hang around anybody and interact with people, because these truths are a treasure for me. I realize that. And I don't go and need to like go and tell people about the treasure that I have, which is like in my mind. It's not anything quote unquote physical, but this is a treasure for me, and so this video is to document another aspect of that treasure, another detail of it, and then maybe somebody else will, appreciate it, I guess, or learn something. But this is mine, and so this teaching will only make sense to a small group of people, and it's not going to come from me. God would tell that person. And then God obviously inspired all these people to write these 54 references to hell. And so God has to tell people that. But for me, this is the payoff, because throughout my whole life, I've never really truly felt comfortable here. And I'm not saying that I'm super pure. I've contributed to the evil, a fair share, but I never felt comfortable. Everybody seemed fake and weird, and I couldn't talk about certain things, and people get angry, even in my own family. I couldn't ask questions at a young age. I had to hide the Bible underneath my, bed covers and all that, like with a flashlight, stuff like that. So that's crazy. Only in hell, which is here, are you forced to like not be able to ask certain questions. And now we have lots of questions with no answers, definitely not from the truth community. And you have to like like pretend like you're an atheist, basically. And so it's not funny. It's just like, it's ridiculous, that flat earthers would have trouble with this teaching, and it's just flamboyantly obvious. And so, for those people out there, if you hear any, if you have any amount of common sense, trust God, trust what the Bible says, that we have no other option. Don't trust Russianvids, don't trust El Despertar, who's an idiot. Don't trust these people, and so they're completely out of their mind if they don't accept this obvious teaching, and so she is Antichrist, and I told her that if she continues to even think that. And so God doesn't care. The Bible in so many other things too, especially in the days that we live in, on a handful of topics, it could not be more obvious. And so God's not going to care, or whatever. Oh, one person, I'll let her go and have her own opinion about topic X. No, that's not the way it works. And so these things are made obvious to us, which is an act of mercy. And we're incredibly thankful for it, for the few people that have this truth and need this truth to explain their surroundings and what they've gone through, and I haven't gone through as much, but I know for a fact lots of people have been through hell. One in particular, Jesus Christ, hung on a cross, came here telling people to love and forgive, and then they hung him on a cross. So where are we? This has to be the most disgusting place that could ever be created, and then we have quote unquote truthers in the last days who are gatekeeping this truth. Even the Hebrews, who know that hell is not a physical place or a spiritual place, but they will still gatekeep this truth and not be explicit about it, and then not tell people that the earth is flat and stationary and hold back all these different things. And so now for the few of us, we know our physical reality because we know that the earth is flat and stationary. We know for sure it doesn't move. And then now we know our spiritual surroundings, that this place is God's most imagination for evil. And then we're going to read that here. And so, this is hell. It's not beneath the ground or whatever. There's no wars going on beneath the earth and it's like a hollow earth and they're throwing, rocks at each other or anything like that. And it's not in the spirit world. And so we're going to see that. And so, if Russianvids or El Despertar or any of those people see this video, these words have to come true if the God of the Bible is true. And I want people to know it's always been serious, but things are getting hot, in the kitchen, so to speak. And this is not funny, but all this stuff is a matter of life and death now, and it's always been like that, but more so now with what we see going on in the world. And so none of these people can save you or me. None of these people can. Only the God of the Bible promises salvation, but he promises salvation, and I'll read these verses, from a place called hell. So if you're not in hell, how can you be saved? And so this is again for that group of people, my people. And so I had somebody tell me that he thinks the end times is going to be 15 years from now. You're not in hell then. I'm sorry. And this is not a shot to you. And you know who you are. You're not in hell then if you're making a 15-year plan in hell. That means that you hate God, because, and I say this confidently, 15 years is crazy. Come on. You don't have to go with my 1, 2, 3 year, whatever, but 15 years. Are you kidding me? No, I'm sorry. Anybody who knows this truth, which I'll make more obvious here, and then makes a 15-year plan, that person hates God. I'll say that right to their face. And so don't be like these people. If you have a single brain cell, God tells us this truth and all the other ones that we've received as a gift, and then it's our job to plan accordingly, and so I would just say for people, plan accordingly. Don't plan according to these quote-unquote truthers. Their job, their role is to say that evil is out there or down there, and then these quote-unquote visitors that are going to come here, they're evil because evil is out there. It's not here, okay? But we know through the Bible that evil is here and all around us, and that's what we're going to read in all these verses. And so if anybody quote-unquote visits, they're righteous. And God's not going to allow random visitors just to come into his earth and just throw a party, uninvited. Bible says God has our hairs numbered. So are you kidding me? And so that quote unquote visitor is Christ himself. And so their job, and they know it, that's their job, is to shill for Satan. I'm talking about these truthers like El Despertar and all that. is to say that no, evil is out there and all those are fallen angels and all that kind of stuff. And so my job and the few people who have received this truth is to go proclaim this, that no, the evil first and foremost is inside of us and it's all around us, and then that evil hung purity on a cross, and even to this day, the truthers are mocking that God because he's being spiritually crucified in the end days. And we read that in Revelation. So just know that that's their job. We know it, it's obvious. And but what's also obvious is that I'm thankful for this truth, and I'm thankful for the fact that it's so obvious, but it's slightly encoded and it's clever. And then all these verses are put in the Bible in a very, very particular place, and that's amazing. That cannot be by coincidence. And so just know that. And so I'm going to go through the numerology, and so just know I've done another video where I've gone through the number 22, which describes things going on earth. Revelation has 22 books, and those things are happening here on earth, and then the kingdom's going to be brought here on earth. And so 22 is a number that's used to encode the flat earth. And then I've showed that these quote-unquote flat earth high priests, they have 22 encoded in their name, like BK, Bob Nodell. B is 2, K is 11, 2 times 11, that's 22. And Karen B is 11 times 2 is 22. Chris Zelinsky, I'll write the hand as KZ or K2, that's 22. Bennett Stevens, 22. And so there's 22 everywhere. And so we'll also see here in these verses that 22 describes the earth, the physical earth. And so keep that in mind. 66 or 666, everybody knows about that one. It's evil or deception. And then 33 is describing like a government, and it's evil. The earth is given to the hand of the wicked. The entire earth is given into the hand of the wicked. And that's in Job 9:24. 9 plus 24 is 33. And so keep those numbers in mind, as we go through this. And so that's going to be important, to understand why these verses are in these particular locations. So starting with Deuteronomy 32:22, here we go. First reference to hell is in verse 22. And so again, that refers to this hell, this earth, which is hell. For a fire is kindled in mine anger and shall burn unto the lowest hell. Heaven is up and hell is here, down below. And so just know that. And so I believe this verse, and I would say indirectly other verses, give me a sense that this is God's most imagination for evil is here. And so we don't know what's up, like when physicality ends, but we can say by this verse, and I would say pretty much by all of them, that this is the lowest hell, that we're living in right now. And shall consume the earth. And so God's talking about fire being kindled in God's anger, and it shall consume the earth, the physical earth, with her increase. So all increase is like the buildings. And so, you have the earth, and then if it's increase, it's stuff that man has built, these buildings. And so the Bible even says in the New Testament that the fire will melt the elements, with fervent heat. And so that's the same thing. And so, and set on fire the foundation of the mountains. The mountains are physical, right? It's like, it's going to burn. It's what God is saying here. And this is in the book of Deuteronomy, top to bottom. It's just going to be laid waste. And so we're told in many parts of the Bible that this fire is going to consume and burn this entire earth. First, America is going to be burned and consumed by the other nations. And then God's going to destroy the rest. And the Bible says in Isaiah 10, the trees that are going to be left are going to be so few that a child could write them down. And so this is the swag that God has. He's gonna annihilate this entire place. And so no, that's not beneath the earth. No, that's not some trees in the spirit world or whatever, or mountains in the spirit world. Are you kidding me? This one verse alone should make it obvious what's going to happen. And just know that. And so that's the way it is. So Deuteronomy 32, by the way, 32 is 3 times 2 is 6. And so you have 6 and then a 22 reference. And so, that's where we're at with that. So, and then 2 Samuel 22:6, again, we have 22 and 6. So it's basically the last verse, but reversed. And so the sorrows of hell compassed me about, the snares of death prevented me. So sorrows of hell compassed me about. So it's like in and all everywhere around. And so the snares of death prevented me. Death and hell will always be used one-to-one, throughout all the, times that it shows up together in the Bible. So hell is a place that things can die. And then if you have death, that means that you're in hell, and that has to be here. And so the Bible encodes dying, death as the body. So when the Bible says, and we'll read this verse, that death and hell are going to be cast into a lake of fire, death is the body, and then hell is the physical earth. And so just know that. And so the sorrows of hell compassed me about. These are righteous people with hell around them. And so just know that. God's not sending righteous people to hell to take a quick tour, take what you like, check it out or whatever. No, that's not the way it is. In a spirit world, in a spirit realm. And so all of these references only make sense if hell is here, and then God is sending people here for a judgment, and so that's what we're taught, in other places even more explicitly. So just know that. Job 11:8, it is as high as heaven, what canst thou do? Deeper than hell, what canst thou know? And so heaven is up and hell is down below here. Job 26:6, 2 6s. 26 is 2 6s. So that's Job 6:6. Hell is naked before him, and destruction hath no covering. And so hell is a place where things are going to be destroyed. That's after things get built up, right? That has to be here. There's no underground communities or anything like that. And no one's building high rises in the spirit world, okay? Psalm 9:17, 9 plus 17 is 26, 2 6s, 6 6. The wicked shall be turned into hell. So they go into a place. All the nations that forget God. And so nations and all that, you can't forget God in the spirit world. You're in the spirit realm. And so you're in the presence of God. This is what the Bible says. When we pass away, our spirit goes back to God who sent it. And so how can you forget God when you're in the presence of God? And so again, this is ridiculous that I even have to make this video, but the numerology is kind of cool. 9, 17, 26. And so the wicked are going to be destroyed here on earth. Body and soul will be destroyed. And I'll read that verse here in hell. Psalm 16:10, 16 plus 10 is 26. Again, 2 6s, 66. For thou wilt not leave my soul in hell, neither wilt thou suffer thy Holy One to see corruption. So that's talking about salvation, in the end times, where God will not appoint his elect, my people, unto wrath. And so they will not see corruption, they will not die. And then God's promising here in Psalms that he will not leave the righteous people's soul in hell. And so just know that. So if you don't leave it there, that means it's there, and so you'll take it out. And so there's no righteous souls going to hell or whatever for just a little stop in the spirit realm. They're here, and this is what is being told to us in the Psalms, King David. Psalms 18:5, 18 plus 5 is 23, 2 3s, 33. That's talking about the days that we live in now. So 33 and 666 run this earth. This is brought to us largely by Russianvids, so it's shocking that he is struggling with this or whatever, but and his mods, I guess, but again, they're just reading from their script. So 18 plus 5 is 23, 2 3s, 33. The sorrows of hell compassed me about, the snares of death prevented me. I want people to know this understanding is the payoff for a small group of people who've wondered why they'd never fit in. I'm not the most righteous person, but I've never felt comfortable here, and even more so now. Because we're told here in Psalms 18:5, the sorrows of hell compass me about. It's everywhere around us. And so just know that, and then it's also in us, the evil. And so this is where we need mercy, and forgiveness and grace from God, the God of the Bible. Hell, and it says the snares of death, so death and hell are together often, are around a righteous person, lamenting about this in the Psalm. So again, where is God sending this person? Beneath the earth? Are you kidding me? Up there in the spirit realm? No, they're here. Their feet are on the ground here on earth, and they're complaining to God for salvation. They've been moaning for salvation, all of God's people, from the beginning. They don't want to be here. Are you kidding me? You leave the presence of God. God's like, I need you to go into this body for this number of time. No one's excited about that. Are you kidding me? They're like, okay, I'll do it, because you cannot escape God's judgment. We do it happily because we know it has to be for a righteous purpose, but we don't want to stay here. Are you kidding me? And listen to these truthers who are A lot of them are Satanists? No, of course not. Absolutely not. Psalms 55:15, 1 plus 5 is 6. So we have another 6 reference here. Let death seize upon them. Again, we have death and hell in the same verse. And let them go down quick into hell. So you go into hell for a temporary judgment. For wickedness is in their dwelling and among them. And so it's like swords of hell compass me about. And so there will be evil everywhere. And then those are the times that we always have lived in. But definitely now, in the last days. Psalms 86:13. What's 86 plus 13 is 99. And if you reverse that, now you'll know why some of these athletes have 99. It's just 66 rotated. Gretzky, Wayne Gretzky, JJ Watt, and all that. So they're on God's left-hand side. So 86 plus 13, 99. For great is thy mercy toward me, and thou hast delivered my soul from the lowest hell. So that's salvation. So this is, again, consistent with the very first verse that I read in Deuteronomy 32:22, talking about more and more evidence that this is the most amount of evil that God could ever imagine here. And when it talks about deliverance, it's talking about salvation. And so this is where salvation will occur. So if you're not in hell, I know for a fact, and you never will be in hell, then you can't be saved because you don't know where you are. And so salvation is going to be for people who recognize that they're in hell, because why else would you want to be saved? There's no why, and so God has created a place here on earth where it's hell only for a small group of people. A majority of the world will be like, it's okay. It's like, hey, we got, decent food, a decent job or whatever, government's not that bad or whatever. So that's why salvation's for a very, very small group of people. And so, that's just know that, and so it's not going to be hell for everybody. It's obviously not hell for El Despertar or whatever. And RV Truth at Call for an Uprising and Mark Sargent, all these people. And so this video and the one that I post below will only make sense to a very, very elite group of people. And so we're not morally better. We've contributed to the hell. We all admit that, all of God's children. But we don't want to be here at all. Not a single day, not a single minute longer than what we agreed to, and so just know that. And so we're asking to be saved from hell, because this is a place where everybody's lying about everything. And so even the truth community, you have to pay them to tell you the truth, and sometimes they still won't tell you the truth. And so this has to be hell, where the truth is made into a commodity and it's still fed falsely, and so half-truths at best from your favorite truther, Tahar, RV Truth, Ken Hovind, all these people, they'll tell you some, but they're not going to tell you the full story. And so it's God's Spirit working with us that will fill in the blanks, and then we rejoice, because that means that we were chosen, and it's not, we don't know why, but I know for a fact, me, and then anybody who receives this, we were chosen to receive this truth, that this physical earth is hell. And so why were we chosen? We don't know, but I accept this truth like it's like a treasure, and it's an amazing thing, and so I realize that it's not for very many people, but hopefully, people keep an open mind, and that kind of thing. But this is a gift for us individually, just like the flat earth and other truths now that are obvious. Psalm 116:3, 11 times 6 is 66. So we have a reference to 66. The sorrows of death compass me, and the pains of hell gat hold upon me. I found trouble and sorrow. So this is a person who's righteous, okay? So none of you clowns out there who go against this are not on the level of King David. I know that for a fact. And so he's telling us he's in hell, okay? And it's a place where there's going to be pain and trouble and sorrow, and it's everywhere around him, okay? So just know that. This is him describing his experience on earth, away from God, his creator, our creator. Psalm 139:8, if I ascend up into heaven, thou art there. If I make my bed in hell, behold, thou art there. A bed is a physical place. And so you cannot escape God. Just know that that's what we're being told here and everywhere in the Bible. Proverbs 5:5, her feet go down to death. Her steps take hold on hell. So if are we doing a moonwalk? Or whatever, is hell on the moon where these people claim that they've gone? No, her steps take hold on hell. So if you're taking hold on hell with your feet, where are you? You're on earth, right? So this physical earth is hell. Her feet go down to death. And then it's a place where things die. And so that's, again, proves that it's here. Proverbs, this one's a little bit deeper, I would say, for people who can understand 34. Proverbs 7:27, which is 34, 3 4s, 444, which is FFF, which is 666. And so Eric Dubé is a 34 name. Actually, so is El Despertar, ED. So take that for what it's worth. And so, but Proverbs 7:27 is, if you add that together, you get 34, which is 3 4s, 444. And that Jay-Z album, or 444 or whatever, he didn't wake up at 4:44 in the morning or whatever stupid reason for that is. They know numerology, of course, people who are giving him these titles and all that. These are Satanists. Her house is the way to hell, going down to the chambers of death. So her house, it's like a physical place, right? Going down to the chambers of death. Again, death and hell are in the same verse. Proverbs 9:18. This is another one that's a good one too, with 18 is 666. And then 9, you flip it, you actually get a 6. So it's 6 and then 666. And so, but he knoweth not that the dead are there, and that her guests are in the depths of hell. And so this again has to be a place where people are dying, and so that's again here on earth. And then if you have guests, you have people, company, you have them here on earth, and so just know that. And this is again being described here as the lowest hell, the depths of hell. Proverbs 15:11, 15 plus 11 is 26, 2 6s, 666. Hell and destruction are before the Lord. How much more than the hearts of the children of men? So God is the creator of a place called hell. And then God brings the evil, which is also what we are told in other parts of the Bible. And, I've done a video on that, but I'll get a good one that will make that very, very obvious. And again, the numerology. And this is also amazing. Amos 3:6, 3 6s, 666. Shall a trumpet be blown in the city and the people not be afraid? Shall there be evil in the city and the Lord hath not done it? That's a question mark. It's rhetorical. And so these things are obvious to us now. And so hell and destruction are before the Lord. So you can't have weather modification. You can't have a chemtrail. You can't have the mark of the beast. You can't have anything unless God ordains it. And so we take comfort in that, because then we would believe that all of that destruction is for ultimately a righteous purpose. How much more than the hearts of the children of men? And so that you can think of that as our minds. And so God controls everything on this earth. And we're told that in Revelation 4:11, which is an incredible verse, one of my favorite ones in the whole Bible, and it summarizes everything. And so let me get that verse. This is the whole story here. This verse explains everything. Thou art worthy, O Lord, to receive glory and honor and power, for thou hast created all things. Everything folds back to God. All things. He didn't make something else, leave the room, come back and be like, what'd you just make? Like, are you crazy? That would be horrifying if God would not be on his job, so to speak. God is not slack. He doesn't take a break, come back and see how you're doing or whatever. All things, good and evil, the heavens and the earth, which is hell. And for thy pleasure they are and were created. So they're created and sustained only by the will of God. And all of this gives God pleasure. Okay? So that's a peculiar entity, that I worship. and the few people that come by here, we worship him. Because if this is pleasurable, we want to know why. How are we an instrument that creates pleasure for him? And then how can we be more pleasurable to him? What can we do to increase the amount of pleasure that God gets? And we want to be able to do that, and then we want him to be able to tell us how to do that, and we want to hear it from him through Christ, not these truthers who don't know how to read. This is funny. They're just illiterate and stupid. And they're just running a financial scam, with the Bible involved. So not from them. Okay. So that was Proverbs 15:11. So Proverbs 15:24. Okay. This is 39, 3 nines, 999, and you rotate it 666. The way of life is above to the wise, that he may depart from hell beneath. That's salvation. And that's during this time, in this 666 era, that he may depart from hell beneath. That's being lifted up. That's salvation. Thou shalt, Proverbs 23, which is 2 3s, 33. 14, thou shalt beat him with a rod and shalt deliver his soul from hell. That's again salvation. And it's verse 1:4, which is short for 144. That's for God's elect, who will be saved. Proverbs 27:20, hell and destruction are never full, so the eyes of man are never satisfied. So this is talking about hell and destruction being created by people who have an insatiable appetite, for evil. And so that's here on earth. And so just know that. And so hell has to be a place where things are destroyed. No one's going into the spirit world and just knocking over stuff that God made, and just like knocking over his glass of water or whatever. Are you kidding me? That's crazy. Everything up there is very, very controlled. And Christ tells us to pray, may your will that's being done up there be done here. And that's a promise as well as a prayer. Isaiah 5:14, therefore hell hath enlarged herself and opened her mouth without measure, and their glory and their multitude and their pomp, and that he rejoices shall descend into it. You go down into hell, which is here. And it's a place where there's going to be like boasting, YOLO and all this kind of stuff. Let's do it big and all that kind of stuff. And so no one's boasting in the spirit world. And again, no one's boasting beneath the earth, in the hollow earth or anything like that. Isaiah 14:9, 14 plus 9 is 23, 2 3s, 33. Hell from beneath is moved for thee to meet thee at thy coming. So when Christ returns, what's beneath him? It's the earth, okay? It's beneath his feet. And so to meet thee at thy coming. It stirreth up the dead for thee, even all the chief ones of the earth. It hath raised up from their thrones all the kings of the nations. This is talking about the ruling structures here on earth. And it's no coincidence why that's in verse 23, 2 3s, 33. Michael Jordan and all these people who wear the number 23, that's 2 3s, that's 33. And so that verse is not there by quinky dink. It didn't just land there randomly. And so this is prophetic. Isaiah's a prophet. It's talking about the end times. Isaiah 14:15, yet thou shalt be brought down to hell, to the sides of the pit. So, when Call for an Uprising talks about the pits of hell or whatever, and then other places we're told that the earth is like a stamp or a seal, and then it's basically a pit, that like holds water and all that. And so we're being told here that yet thou shalt be brought down to hell, to the sides of the pit. That hell is a pit. And so it's a place, it's a physical place, this earth. So Isaiah 28:15, 1 plus 5 is 6. Because ye have said, we have made a covenant with death, and with hell are we at agreement. When the overflowing scourge shall pass through, it shall not come unto us. For we have made lies our refuge, and under falsehood we have hid ourselves. So it's a place where lies and falsehood are going to be everywhere, and then death will also exist. Because again, death and hell are always together, often together. And so, just know that. And so this earth has made an agreement in amongst itself with the God of it, Satan, that it's going to be a place that makes lies their refuge and hides himself in falsehood. And so that's the times that we live in now, even in the truth community. Just know that. Isaiah 28:18 is 666. And your covenant with death shall be disannulled, and your agreement with hell shall not stand. when the overflowing scourge shall pass through, then ye shall be trodden down by it. And so there's going to be a time where God is going to judge this earth, which is hell, in righteousness. And so, this covenant of death will be disannulled. Isaiah 57:9, which is 66. And thou wentest to the king with ointment, and didst increase thy perfumes, and didst send thy messengers far off, and didst debase thyself even unto hell. And so all these things are happening with ruling structures and things going on here on earth. Ezekiel 31:16, I made the nations to shake at the sound of his fall, when I cast him down to hell with them that descend into the pit, which is the earth. And all the trees of Eden, the choice and best of Lebanon, all that drink water shall be comforted in the nether parts of the earth. And so all these things are earthly things. The best of Lebanon, drinking water, the extreme parts of the earth and all that is hell. That's where we get cast down into for a judgment. And salvation is not having to come back into hell. It's to return only to the kingdom of heaven. And so just know that. And that's promised for a select few. Ezekiel 31:17, they also went down into hell with him unto them that be slain with the sword. So where are they getting slain with the sword? Here. And they that were his arm, that dwelt under a shadow in the midst of the heathen. And so that's, again, those are things that are happening here on earth. Ezekiel 32:21, 32 is 3 times 2 is 6. And then 2 plus 1 is 3, 6, 3. And then the way these Satanists work, 6 and 3 is the same as 3 and 6, if you read them backwards. So 3, 6 is 6, 6, 6. So if I see even like a road name, which is like FM, FM is 6, 3. F is 6 and M is 3 if you twist it. So 6, 3 and 3, 6 are equivalent. And so it's the same thing here with Ezekiel 32:21. The strong among the mighty shall speak to him out of the midst of hell, with them that help him shall speak to him, talking, through a mouth. They are gone down, they lie uncircumcised, slain by the sword. And so, again, hell is a place where people die. And then it says here, they'll be slain by the sword. And so that's here in the midst of hell. Ezekiel 32:27, 32 again, 3 times 2 is 6. 2, 7, add that together is 9, and if you rotate it, it's a 6. So Ezekiel 6, 6. And they shall not lie with the mighty that are fallen of the uncircumcised, which are gone down to hell with their weapons of war. It's a place where there's going to be war. And they have laid their swords under their heads, but their iniquity shall be upon their bones, though they were the terror of the mighty in the land of the living. And so it's again, all these things are happening here on earth. And it's a place you go down to, as opposed to going up, where our soul or our spirit goes out of the body, back to God for the next judgment. Amos 9:2. And so this is, again, you rotate the 9, you get a 6, and then you can work this way, left to right or right to left. So it's 9:2 or 6:2, and then it's 2 6s read the other way, which is 66. Though they dig into hell. So hell, by this verse, has to be a place that you can dig into. Okay, that's the earth, right? Oil and gas, you dig a grave, you dig whatever. You're digging into the earth. Though they dig into hell, then shall mine hand take them down. Though they climb up to heaven, thence will I bring them down. So this is talking about in the last days when all this oil and gas is drilling into hell. And then though they climb up to heaven with this SpaceX and FakeX, thence will I bring them down. So this is the time when Christ will return in the days that we live in now. Jonah 2:2, 22 is a reference to the earth, like I said. And said, I cried by reason of mine affliction unto the Lord, and he heard me. Out of the belly of hell cried I. So Jonah was on earth when he said this. And this happened. And then God heard his voice. Why would God not hear Jonah's voice in the spirit world or whatever? Let's say this was like symbolic for the spirit world, representative of the spirit world. Why not? And so this is telling us that Jonah was lamenting here on earth, like we all are. And we just hope that God hears our voice as well. And he cried unto God because of the affliction that he was suffering here on earth, because evil was surrounding him, like it's surrounding us all the time. Habakkuk 2:5, yea, also because he hath transgressed by wine, he is a proud man, neither keepeth at home, who enlarges his desire as hell. Do it big, all that kind of stuff. and is as death. So again, we have hell and death together, and cannot be satisfied, but gather unto him all nations, and heapeth unto him all people. So this is things that are happening here on earth, where all nations and all people exist. All nations and heapeth unto him all people do not exist in the spirit world. It's only for a select group of people. And so no, in the spirit world, God does not have Satan running amok or anything like that, and then people selling information and all that kind of stuff. That's preposterous. Matthew 5:22, again, 22 is a reference to the earth. But I say unto you that whosoever is angry with his brother without a cause shall be in danger of the judgment. And whosoever shall say to his brother, Raca, shall be in danger of the council. But whosoever shall say, thou fool, shall be in danger of hellfire. So hell has to be a place where you can light a match. And God's going to provide the fire. Noah didn't know where the water was going to be provided when he built that ark. God said, build the ark. And he knew water existed. So he just faithfully built the ark. We know that fire can exist, okay? And then God even tells us that he's been creating these weapons of war. God's going to provide the fire, and so for all you people out there who don't believe the Bible, and it is funny, and we don't care what happens to you because you're stupid. Jesus Christ is your Lord and Savior, but anything that he says here and everywhere, you don't believe anything that he says, God's going to provide the fire, and then me, and then the few people that come by here, we don't want to see that fire, because if your body is destroyed in this fire that God provides, body and soul are going to be destroyed. And so be careful what you teach. If El Despertar or Russianvids or anybody hears this, be careful what you're teaching, because we're all going to be held accountable to what we teach, especially in a public setting and especially with the Bible open in front of us. So I say this in a friendly way for now. Be careful what you teach, for sure. This is not a joke. Matthew 5:29, which is 5 plus 29 is 34. 3 4 is 444, which is FFF, which is 666. And if thy right eye offend thee, pluck it out and cast it out from thee, for it is profitable for thee that one of thy members should perish, and not that thy whole body shall be cast into hell. If your whole body can be cast into, whole body shall be cast into hell, where is that? It has to be here on earth. It has to be in a physical realm, and where you're experiencing a judgment, which is why we're here. Matthew 5:30, and if thy right hand offend thee, cut it off and cast it off from thee, for it is profitable for thee that one of thy members should perish, and not that the whole body should be cast into hell. Matthew 10:28, this is right from Christ's mouth. And fear not them which kill the body, but are not able to kill the soul. But rather fear him, which is the Most High, which is able to destroy both soul and body in hell. And both of those things. So it has to be a physical place. Just know that. And that's right from Christ's mouth. For all you people that claim that he's your Lord and Savior, which we know that a lot of you people are liars. Matthew 11:23. 11:23. 2 3s is 33. But if you add that together, you get 34, which is 3 4s, 444, which is 666. And now Capernaum, which art exalted unto heaven, shall be brought down to hell. For if the mighty works which have been done in thee had been done in Sodom, it shall have remained until this day. And so any group that exalt themselves, they'll be brought here for their judgment, which is hell. And so just know that. And this is the belly of the beast. This is 666. Matthew 16:18. So 18 again is 666. So Matthew 1 times 6 is 6. So it's 666. And I say also unto thee that thou art Peter, and upon this rock I will build my church, and the gates of hell shall not prevail against it. No one's fighting against the God in the spirit world, or arguing with him and all that kind of stuff. The gates of hell. It's a physical place, right? And I will build my church here on earth, and so just know that. Matthew 18:9. So 18 is 666. 9 you rotated, you get a 6. And if thine eye offend thee, pluck it out and cast it from thee. It better for thee to enter into life with one eye, which is salvation. You enter into life, because here is death in the body, than having two eyes to be cast into hellfire. And so There's no eyes in the spirit world. Are you kidding me? El Despertar? Are you joking? That's absurd. She literally tried to convince me of that. You know, for people who are bored, go read the interaction I had with her on RV Truth's live stream last night on 4/29/2021. And it was just, I mean, it was just hilarious. I had to just unsub, and you know, this is again not not a shot to RV, but like I can't be around that. You know, these things are so obvious. Like, this is a treasure, you know, and this is a treasure for me, and I don't need to go and brag about it or go sell somebody else on it or whatever. For people who understand that this is the truth of the Bible, and then ultimately the truth of our reality and our, I believe, our near future, then you know, that's a treasure that God gave you, you know, and so just be thankful for it. And it's not given to very many people, because the only people that will understand this are the people that are desperate for salvation. So just know that. And it's not for a lot of people. Matthew 23:15, 2 3 is 33, 1 plus 5 is 6. So we have Matthew 33:6. And then if you have 33, you add those together, you get 6. And so that's why that's a quote unquote special number for them. 33 degrees of Freemasonry is 3 plus 3 is 6. And so you have Matthew 6:6 effectively. Woe unto you, scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites, for ye can pass sea and land to make one proselyte, and when he is made, you make him twofold more the child of hell than yourself. So a lot of these people in the truth community, it's better that they've never heard any of these truths. And then if what I teach does not come true, it's better that I've never taught the Bible. And so if I am not in that group to be saved, there's no reason for me to have ever taught the Bible, you know. And so that's why we're living in those days. And for me, all my chips are in, you know. And then I would feel like I hate God if I wait longer than this year. And so that's why this is an exciting time for those people who understand these words, not my words, these words of the Bible, and how they're speaking loud as can be, you know, to us, you know, through God's Spirit, in a personal way. And so they could not be speaking louder to us. Matthew 23:33, which is 2 3s, which is 33. And 2 times 3 is 6. 33 is 6. So yeah, Matthew 6:6. Ye serpents, ye generation of vipers, how can ye escape the damnation of hell? So that's judgments that are going to happen here on earth for these scribes and Pharisees and hypocrites and all that. And we can't be like these people. We cannot be an actor. We can't be a hypocrite, all that kind of stuff. Can't be getting super chats, trying to make the gospel into a business or whatever. No, that's for people that will get this damnation, and we don't want that. Matthew 9:43. And so, again, 43 and 34, if you reverse it, you get 444, which is FFF, which is 666, and then you twist the 9, you get a 6. And so, another way you can look at this again, might be a little overkill. 4 times 3 is 12, okay, which is 6 plus 6. And then if you get the Matthew 9, you rotate it, you get 6. So again, Mark 666. And so 12 and 18 are numbers that you should keep your eye open for 666 or 666. And if thy hand offend thee, cut it off, for it is better to enter into life maimed than having 2 hands to go into hell. So the Bible says in Jeremiah 31:8, which is a verse that I'll get right now. It's talking about salvation. Behold, I will bring them from the north country and gather them from the coast of the earth, and with them the blind and the lame, the woman with child and her that travaileth with child, together a great company shall return thither. End times teacher people, all these verses, this one, it's slightly subtle, but many, many verses that remind us that God's elect will be taken away and then they're going to return. So how do you explain that? For all you Hebrew Israelites, all you quote unquote Bible scholars, and a great company shall return thither. Christ is going to take away his elect at the beginning of the Great Tribulation period and return with that same elect at the end of the Great Tribulation period. And so, but I wanted to highlight here, and with them the blind and the lame. And so we're told here that it's better to enter into life maimed, Lot will, which is salvation, than having 2 hands to go into hell. And so it's better to not have arms and that be a judgment that God has for you. And we have to just deal with it, whatever that is for us spiritually, if we have our arms. But whatever that is, those weaknesses or things, judgments, which is what they are, we accept that to be able to invite it into the kingdom, than to have everything you could ever want here on earth, which is hell. Into the fire that shall never be quenched, which is talking about a permanent destruction. That person who is burned in this with their two hands, they will never speak of them again. They just like they didn't exist. They're just deleted. Like I read in Matthew 10:28, body and soul are going to be destroyed in this hell. So it's like their energy is gone, and so there's no deception from that individual anymore. That's what it's saying. It's an eternal destruction, but it's fire, real fire. And God's letting us know that it's going to be forever. So he uses that language, shall never be quenched, because the church, the quote church, which are all Satanists, they're going to believe that and teach that, because it's their business, that you, if you accept Christ as your Savior, you'll avoid a spiritual furnace or whatever, which is absurd. Mark 9:45, 9, you rotate it, you get a 6. 45, you add that together, you get 9. So you have 9, 9. Rotate that, you get 6, 6. And that kind of thing. And if thy foot offend thee, cut it off, for it is better to enter halt into life, which is salvation, than having 2 feet to be cast into hell, into the fire that shall never be quenched. So according to El Despertar, spirits have feet, I guess, and arms and teeth, and they cry and stuff like that. Okay, so what kind of world have you created? The guy is so stupid. Like, how does a spirit have water, to like weep and stuff? Like, are you kidding me? And where is the teeth going to sit on a spirit? Are you kidding me? Like they're glued to the spirit or whatever? Are you kidding me? That's absolutely ridiculous. These people are stupid. Mark 9:47. So 9, you twist it, you get the 6:47. 4 plus 7 is 11. So you get Mark 6 times 11, which is 66. And if thine eye offend thee, pluck it out. It is better for thee to enter into the kingdom of God with one eye than having 2 eyes to be cast into the fire. So spirits have eyes, according to you clowns? That's absolutely absurd. That's so stupid. Luke 10:15, and thou Capernaum, which are exalted into heaven, shall be thrust down to hell. The spirit goes up to God for a judgment, and then those groups of spirits are thrust down to hell, which is here. Luke 12:5, but I will forewarn you whom ye shall fear. Fear him which after he hath killed hath power to cast into hell. Yea, I say unto you, fear him. Cast into hell. Here. Luke 16:23, 2:3 is 2 times 3 is 6. Luke 66, and in hell he lift up his eyes up, being in torments, and seeth Abraham afar off and Lazarus in his bosom. This person's lifting up his eyes on a body. Okay, just for people who don't know this, guess what? Your eyes are actually mounted onto your head, right? Which is actually, on your neck, and it's on your body. Okay, this is like physiology 101 for the idiots out there. This is symbolic, but it's explaining the judgment of somebody who ignored Lazarus. I'm like, who cares? He's a bum, homeless, really? Yeah, we're gonna see about these homeless people in Jeremiah 31:8, when God offers salvation to, what it says here, the blind and the lame. And so all of us, including me, we're going to find out what God's really, really about, what he really likes and what he really hates. And so just know that. Don't be surprised, and don't take advice from these stupid people. Trust the Bible if you remember anything from this lesson. And in hell, he lift up his eyes. Okay, he's not in the spirit world. He's not in a hole underground or anything like that. And he's in torment, because all these verses talk about hell being a place where you experience torment. And seeth Abraham afar off and Lazarus in his bosom. And so Lazarus is in the presence of God, and then one of God's servants is Abraham. And so Abraham and Lazarus are together in the presence of God in glory. And so this person, this idiot, we can all be like this, who ignored these people. He's like, well, okay, just, can you go and warn other people, and just let them don't do the same thing I did. And so he's being told here that there's a chasm between those two places. And the only way to bridge that chasm is with Christ and salvation, because only he can bring people to the Father. And so, because he's the way, the truth, and the life. And so just know that. That's what it's being said here. They're far off, and so, I can do a lesson on that. But Just be aware of that, and so that's Luke 6:6. Acts 2, 27. 2 plus 27 is 29. 2 9s, 99. And if you rotate it, you get 66. Because thou wilt not leave my soul in hell, neither will thou suffer thine Holy One to see corruption, which is salvation. And so that means that a righteous person's soul will be in hell to be saved, to avoid this corruption, which is salvation, and God's elect will not experience wrath. And so it will not, quote unquote, die, and that kind of thing. So that again proves that it's here. And this is the place of judgment. Acts 2:31, 2 plus 31 is 33. He, seeing this before, spake of the resurrection of Christ, that his soul was not left in hell, neither his flesh did see corruption, which is salvation. Again, in the times that we live in now. And so these are righteous people's souls who are in hell, but they won't be left there. James 3:6, 3:6, 66. And so 666. So James 3:6. 3 times 6 is 18. And the tongue is a fire, a world of iniquity. So is the tongue among your members, that it defileth the whole body, and that setteth on fire the course of nature, and it is set on fire of hell. All this chatter on earth is just hell. For those people who understand now that this is hell. It's just stupid. People just talking in circles, just nonsense. It's a world of iniquity, is what James is saying here. So it is the tongue among our members, that it defileth the whole body. We're going to be measured by what we say. Me too, everybody. And so just be careful what you say and teach. Don't teach that hell is a spirit realm. And don't go and sell that you need to accept Christ to avoid that realm, because you're Antichrist. And so it's funny if you're stupid enough to do that. Don't. We've all done it, okay? A lot of us have been duped by the 501c3 church. Don't get duped anymore. Trust the Bible. It's obvious. All these verses, you don't have to even think, really. It's just obvious what it is. And so just trust it and then go with it, Just if you don't know why, just go with it. But hell is not a spiritual dimension, that kind of thing. And don't make God prove this to you. I don't want that for anybody. 2 Peter 2:4. 2 Peter 2, so 2:2, we got a reference to 2, which is the earth. And then 4 can be broken out into 2:2. So, or if you go 2:2, which is 4, and then 4, you have 44, which is FF, which is 66. And so, for if God spared not the angels that sinned. So this is for maybe a little deeper for people, but 144 are God's angels. They're here if we're in that group as a judgment. And so just know that. And so that might be over people's head, but that's what I believe that's going on. But cast them down hell here for a judgment, and delivered them unto chains of darkness to be reserved unto judgment. And so we're here as a judgment, as a punishment. And so we're supposed to cry out to God from hell to be saved, And so there are angels, there are quote unquote angels here on earth in bodies as a judgment. We're told that here. And 2 Peter 2:4. Only a certain group of people will understand that. Revelation 1:18, 18 is 666. I am he that liveth and was dead, and behold, I am alive forevermore. Amen, and have the keys of hell and of death. So, nothing on this earth can happen unless God ordains it. Not a single thing. A person can't die. A person can't be tormented. Nothing can happen unless God allows it. And so, he made this place. Okay? Satan can only do what God tells him to do. That's it. Nothing more, nothing less. And so, God's idea was the mark of the beast. Satan is just the figurehead to implement it. Revelation 6:8. And I looked, and behold, a pale horse, and his name that sat on him was Death, and hell followed with him. So, if you have a horse and you have somebody riding on it, that's a person, right? And so that's death. So that's a human, that's a body. And so that's death. So death is encoded as the body. And hell followed with him. So if you picture a horse, riding or whatever, what's behind him? There's always the earth behind him, right? And so hell is following him. And power was given unto them over a fourth part of the earth. Okay, this is again reference to things going on here, to kill with the sword, with hunger, and with death, and with the beasts of the earth. And so just know that that is all happening here on earth. All of Revelation, 22 chapters, is referring to events happening here on earth. And then there's a quote unquote religious ceremony, but all those seals and all that are then being enacted here on earth. And so just know that we're reminded of that here as well. Revelation 20:13, if you add those together, it's 33. And the sea gave up the dead which were in it, and death and hell delivered up the dead which were in them. So, death and hell delivered up the dead which were in them. So, these are souls that are going back up for judgment. And so, if death gives up a soul, then that's the body giving up the soul, and hell delivered up the dead which were in them. And so, in this dome, flat realm, there are spirits everywhere, God's energy. And so, and it says here, and they were judged every man according to the works, delivered up the dead which were in them. So in this dome with the flatness, there are spirits everywhere. And then there's a soul inside of us. And then it looks like there are even beings and souls in the waters. And so that's what we're told here. And so, and delivered up the dead which were in them. And they were judged every man according to the works. You go to God for judgment and then sent back. And so just know that. You have to understand reincarnation if you want any chance of understanding the Bible. Revelation 20:14, which is 34, 3 4s, 444, FFF, 666. And death and hell were cast into the lake of fire. Death and hell were cast into a lake of fire, which means that they were terminated. So you'll no longer have death, which exists in the body, and hell, which is this earth, were cast into the lake of fire. And this is the second death. And so I've done many videos on this, but just a quick verse to support that is Zephaniah 1:18, and I'll read it in the King James just because it's the best that we have. Neither their silver nor their gold shall be able to deliver them in the day of the Lord's wrath, but the whole land shall be devoured by the fire of his jealousy. For he shall make even a speedy riddance of all of them that dwell in the land. And so that's in Zephaniah 1:18. 18 is 666. And that's exactly what we're told here in Revelation 20:14. And death and hell were cast into the lake of fire. This is the second death. And so the first death, I believe, was the ark with water. The second time is with fire, real fire, for all you stupid people out there. Death and hell are going to be terminated. And so how can it be an eternal state of anything? It's not. And so death is, again, the bodies that are here on the earth with the mark of the beast, 666, and the earth, like I read in Zephaniah 1:18 and everywhere in the Bible. And so God's ambition, the God of the Bible's ambition, is to tag the entire earth, who's on his left-hand side with the mark of the beast, and burn them all. And he doesn't care. And then he wants us to forget about them like they didn't exist. The pruning is done. And so this is why it's impossible for us to associate with others, even truthers, because we want that. I want that now. I say that freely, and that makes me an enemy to even the truth community. And I don't care. I trust what the Bible says, because it's the word of God. I do not want to be cast into this lake of fire. And so that's people that God are just using as instruments, as actors, to prune the people he actually cares about. And so just know that, and so whether you believe this lake of fire is physical or not, which we have no reason to believe, like all these verses are not, all these verses are perfectly consistent, but it tells us here that death and hell are going to be terminated. And so there's not going to be a notion of dying anymore, and but this is required first. So these verses to come true, and all that kind of stuff. So hopefully that, clarifies things a little bit more. But these verses, I mean, come on, this is, to me now, they're not there by coincidence, really. 33, 666, 14, 144, 44, 444, all that kind of stuff. The Bible is constructed perfectly, and the only people that this construction benefits are the faithful, and then the people that understand that God is using this to communicate to us if we don't need it, as if we already need. There's so much evidence in the world right now that the Bible's true, but just a friendly, academic, reminder that the Bible is constructed perfectly, and then all these verses are not here randomly. Even Zephaniah 1:18, and all that kind of stuff. And so even Jeremiah 31:8 is 39, which is 39, 666 rotated. And so this is going to be in these days that this is going to happen, this salvation. And then Revelation 4:11 is 4 times 11 is 44. This is for God's elect to understand. And also 4:11, 1 plus 1 is 2. It's the quote unquote meaning of life. They say the meaning of life is 42 or whatever. It comes from the Bible. And so, and the numerology with Amos 3:6, 3 sixes. So all these things are speaking to the times that we live in now. This, again, is not to be boastful, but this is why I know that it's not in the future, because it's not going to be taught, this teaching, and it's obvious. So it's for us, who've received it. And then the only reason that God would tell us this is if he plans to deliver us from it. Hope everyone's doing well. Bye.